So my name is Lena, and I'm originally from Dubrovnik, and I have lived in Liverpool since 2000. And because I was born in Yugoslavia, I went through the Yugoslav war and saw the atrocities and lost friends on both sides as soldiers and civilians. And I have seen traumatic consequences of war on generations of people. So wars don't just stop when they end. There is effects of war going on long after, for decades. And right now there are wars happening, and that will affect generations of people afterwards. And there are arms being manufactured and traded that ensure that this vicious cycle continues. And so profits from weapons are made because those weapons are successful. And when they do what they are meant to do, which is what they do is kill. And these are profits made from death and destruction of environment. And Liverpool must not allow that such profiteering happens in its ground. So, I am a Labour Party councillor, and so I'm one of your elected representatives in this great city. And my mandate comes from you, from the people. See, you hold the power, and this is your city. And this ACC venue where the arms fair is to be held is actually owned by the Liverpool City Council, which means it's owned by you. So, I urge you all to write to us, to put pressure on us as local councillors, to your MPs and to the mayor, and to state that we really need to cancel this arms fair. We have to work together from all of our different positions to press from all sides. As you know, Massive Attack cancelled its upcoming concert. And what's happening is that various trade unions will do the same, so the pressure is growing and your presence is having the effect. And here we are protesting on the streets to demand the directors of ACC to stop this shameful and immoral event. Let's make sure that this deadly trade in weapons doesn't happen anywhere in the world, and particularly not in Liverpool. Thank you.
Thank you for turning up today in such numbers to show how we feel about this arms fair. I've written a few words down. War, guns and violence, what for? There's innocent people lying dead on the floor. Not in our yard, but what if they were? Do you think Western society might start to care? These wars are more genocidal than democratical. Stop. Think about where they're selling these machines. Our black and brown siblings fallen to oppressive regimes. Free Palestine. We've got politicians washing their hands of this, but now's the time to come together and make a stand on this. Wars, guns and violence, no more. Would you still sell those weapons if it was your child on the floor? Now, we have politicians in this city who are wringing their hands and saying they can't do anything about this arms fair. That is wrong. We, the organisers, know that if they come together, they can stop this arms fair from happening in our city. So I would like to call upon those politicians and our mayor to unite and take action. You are supposed to serve the people of this city. We are here and we are going to make so much noise that you cannot help but hear us. We are going to roar today and they are going to listen. So before I hand over the mic, I want to hear you roar. When I say arms fair, you say out. Arms fair. Out. Arms fair. Out. When I say arms fair, you say out. Arms fair.
Now, I want a little bit of audience participation, following on from the magnificent and mighty Chantel, as she says, the louder we shout, the less they can ignore us. Now, I'm going to do a reading of some lyrics that I'm sure you know. So when you feel the urge, join in. The louder, the possible. Very nervous. Are we ready? War. What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
War. What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
War I despise because it means destruction of innocent lives. War means tears to thousands of mothers' eyes when their children go to fight and lose their lives. War. What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
Say it again. War. What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
War isn't nothing but a heartbreaker. War, friend only to the undertaker. It's an enemy to all mankind. The point of war blows my mind. War has caused unrest within the younger generation. Induction, then destruction. Who wants to die? War. What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
Say it again. War. What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
War has shattered many a young person's dreams, made them disabled, bitter and mean. Life is much too precious and short to spend fighting these days. War can't give life, it can only take it away. War. What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
Say it again. War. What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
Peace, love and understanding. Tell me, is there no place for them today? They say we must fight for our freedom, but there has to be a better way. War. What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
War. Stand up and shout, what is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
Thank you.
What do we want?
Stop the arms fair.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Stop the arms fair.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Stop the arms fair.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Stop the arms fair.
When do we want it?
Now.
I'm angry. I'm fucking angry, actually. Very angry. That the traders in death and destruction and harm and human suffering think that they can come here and besmirch the reputation of our city. These are people who have made riches, made their companies, their directors, their investors wealthy at a loss of life in Palestine, in Syria, in Afghanistan, Eritrea, Somalia, wherever weapons are sold. These are the companies that reap the profits. Do you know, all the way across the world, people are shouting examples. There is a generation after generation have suffered as a result of these who have blood on their hands, and they think they can come to our city and trade even more. You know, it's interesting, we need the cathedral. Let me just cite something from the New Testament. Some of you might know this story, that Jesus turned up one day at the temple. He saw the moneylenders moneylending in the city, and he saw this as desecration. So he overturned the tables and threw them out. These arms traders are desecrating our city. So we need now We need now to throw them out. And do you know if councillors in council chambers can't do it, well, you know, if it's not the council chamber, then it's the streets, and that's where we operate. I just want to say this briefly. I'm here with a friend, a comrade, over nearly 50 years, Jeremy Corbyn. He'll be speaking later, but I want to send a message to the leader of the Labour Party. Jeremy Corbyn has campaigned all his life, given his life to the peace movement. Not only is the sort of person we need in the Labour Party, he's the sort of person who needs the whip restored to him so he can speak on our behalf. Finally this, and I just remind you what we proposed, Jeremy and I, when we were campaigning in these recent elections. We were going to ensure, as exactly as Dan said, that we banned all arms sales to these brutal regimes once and for all. That we introduced a policy that converted our arms industry into productive force for the benefit of all. We also said that we would establish a ministry for peace. That dream is not over. That dream has to be fought for and won. And that's what this movement is all about. We're here to prevent this arms fair and ensure never again will these traders in blood besmirch the reputation of this city. But more importantly, we're here to dedicate ourselves for the movement and struggle for peace until we achieve peace and justice in this world. Final word from me, because every day I'm dealing with refugees and asylum seekers in my constituency. And you've seen the latest brutal policy brought forward by the Tories. I just want one final sentence. Asylum seekers are welcome here. Solidarity.
Liverpool said no! The arms fair's got to go! Liverpool said no! The arms fair's got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The arms fair's got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The arms fair's got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The arms fair's got to go!
Hello everyone. I'm going to be giving this poem that's in the perspective of a Palestinian child. I am a child of Palestine, except I'm no longer here. I was 10-year-old Rahaf and 2-year-old Yazan. I was 6-year-old Marwan and I was 5-year-old Barat. But I was my mum's first love and I was the apple of my father's eye. I was the baker's favourite visitor and I was my teacher's pride and joy. I was 11-year-old Ibrahim and 13-year-old Yahya. I was 6-year-old Amira and 12-year-old Hamza. I was my little brother's superhero. I was the laughter of the streets. I was the song of the skies and I was Jerusalem's brightest flower. I was 5-year-old Zayd and 11-year-old Ammar. I was 4-year-old Adam and 3-year-old Muhammad. I was the birds that sang in the trees and I was the reason my grandma smiled and I was the warmth of the winter and I was the breeze on a summer's day. I was 8-year-old Maryam and 2-year-old Hur. I was 1-year-old Ibrahim and 6-year-old Ammar. I was 9-year-old Bilal and 11-year-old Yusuf. I was 6-year-old Yaman and 14-year-old Lina. I was 13-year-old Hamada and I was 16-year-old Bethana. I was 14-year-old Ahmed and 8-year-old Islam. I was 1-year-old Muhammad and 13-year-old Abdullah. I was 6-year-old Osama and 13-year-old Suhaib. I was my country's tiny protector and a soldier on my land, but my strength scared the settler, so my life was cut short and put to an end. The names mentioned in this poem were real lives, real children, and an example of the real victims of the weapons that are sold in these arm fairs. Let's not allow our city to profit off of murder. Thank you.
It kills people. Children in Gaza, children in the Yemen, children in Somalia, children in Myanmar, children in so many places. All kinds of people turn up at these arms fairs to buy things, and they're sold through arms dealers. Those arms dealers have no compunction who they sell them to or what they do at the end of it. Indeed, they advertise their effectiveness. So if we're serious about peace and justice and human rights around the world, if we're serious about the rights of the people of Yemen, then don't sell weapons to Saudi Arabia, who are going to use them against the people of Yemen. And the hypocrisy, and it is rank hypocrisy, of ministers in the British government telling Dan, telling me, telling John, telling many, many others, it's okay, we're the biggest donors for the reconstruction of Yemen. I want to help the people of Yemen. I want our overseas aid to help the people of Yemen to deal with cholera, with water supply, with health conditions, with education and all those things. But I don't want to be part of the problem that bombed and destroyed them in the first place. So in that campaign, let us remember all of those things. And remember that wars are easy to start and hard to stop. 9/11 was a disastrous day. Those thousands that died in New York, in the World Trade Center, didn't deserve to die. It was horrendous, it was wrong, and it was terrible. Just as much as those 7,000 that were killed by General Pinochet after the coup on 9/11, 1973. And so, after 9/11 in New York, George Bush gave himself total powers. Only one member of Congress voted against it. The wonderful, wonderful woman who represents Oakland in California, Barbara Lee, was the only one. She said in all conscience she could not vote to start another war. And she was right. And we then voted, or at least I didn't, but a lot of MPs did, that we would send our troops to Afghanistan. Here we are, all these years later, thousands of Afghan people have died. Desperate refugees now trying to get out, and they should be allowed out, and they should be made welcome in this country, and they should be supported. Thousands of American troops died, 457 British troops died, and more than 1 million Afghans are refugees in neighbouring countries in other parts of the world. The war in Iraq, which we opposed, the 2 million of us that went to London that day to oppose it, said it won't solve the problems of Iraq, it will cause the wars and the terrorism and the refugee crises of tomorrow. It's this refugee crisis the world faces. 70 million people are refugees, in part caused by the wars. They are people who deserve to live. They're people who want to make their contribution. So I'm ashamed when the British government on the one hand says it's welcoming Afghan refugees, good if they were doing that, and then at the same time tries to push legislation through our parliament which makes it a criminal offence to save somebody's life in the English Channel and push them back rather than coming to our shores. The human instinct is to save life, not condemn those that bring about safety for others. And so, let us oppose this arms fair and the arms trade and develop an economy that works for all. An economy that provides the housing we need, the healthcare we need, the education we need, the ships that we need, the planes that we need, the cars that we need, the trains that we need, the skill, the brilliance, the engineering that's there. I want those skills used for peaceful purposes. I want us to develop an economy based on peace, on justice, on development, and on environmental sustainability. When they talk of security, the British government talks about the ability to arm ourselves and destroy others. I tell you this, just put this in the back of your mind. The firepower on one nuclear submarine is the equivalent of all of the bombs dropped in the Second World War by all parties in the Second World War. That is the human destructive power that we have. Security in the world is not the ability to kill others. Security, real security, is the ability to eat, for your children to be educated, there to be healthcare available, to have clean water, to have clean air, and to sustain our planet and deal with the environmental crisis that is affecting all of us. And so, the work we're doing, all of us, is about peace and justice and human rights. The message we're saying today in Liverpool is, let's turn the corner, turn the page, learn the lessons of the past, let humanity prevail, the arms fair be cancelled, and start the process, the walk down that road to a more peaceful, more just world, where we respect each other and the human rights that goes with it, as this wonderful city as Liverpool has always done and always will do. Thank you, all of you, for being here today.